love you, brother. I haven't seen you in a couple years.
It has been a while, my friend. It has been a bit. Thanks.
Jeff, you're live streaming.
Yep. That is correct. Okay. We're good, Barry.
Okay. Hello, everybody. How is everybody? Okay, that's good enough. Okay. A couple of things to start with. First of all, one of the people who always drives down here and comes to our meetings when we have in person, Russell Walker, our dear friend from Mexico, up in the northern part. That's what Jewish people call operations. But keep him in your thoughts and prayers. He seems to be doing okay, but he's got some work to be done for him, and we're looking forward to seeing him again real soon. The second thing is, I'm going to tell you the very best benefits of Zoom is that as a lawyer of civil cases, family cases, and the biggest benefit to me today was I had a 3.5-hour hearing that should have been 1 hour. And if I was actually in a court sitting next to my client, I probably would have strangled her, and the judge would have said, "Very good job." But so the Zoom stuff works for everybody. Anyway, I hope everyone's doing well. We're kind of heading towards what we think is a better time for all of us regarding accessibility and appearances and things like that. We still are working through as much as we can. We do have some issues with the league regarding that and parents and the usual stuff. But above all, I hope all you guys are doing well, and ladies and gentlemen, and now I'll turn over to Jeff for the next part. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. A couple of things I wanted to talk about tonight. I know Becky couldn't be online, so I'm going to deal with a couple of issues that have come up with regard to suspensions and service and behavior. Throughout the first couple of weeks, we had pretty good behavior, but this last week, we've had a couple of instances where parents have gotten out of control. So I would definitely suggest that you have that heart-to-heart with your parents if you happen to be in one of those situations. We had a fight, we had a threat to a referee, we had some other things that had gone on. I'm not going to go necessarily into specifics. You certainly can look at our suspension list to see, but make sure that they understand that any ejection to a parent is going to cause all those parents to be ejected, and that the parent that causes the problem is going to get the FYSA kind of mandatory minimum applied to them, even though they're not a player. So if you have a parent that gets tossed for abusive language directed at a person, then they will get the 3 games. And actually, all your parents will get the 3 games until we find out who the perpetrator was. And at that point, that it will be reduced. If it gets to the point where it's a significant type of a referee abuse or something, which is a 6-game minimum, or having police get called, or entering a fight in progress kind of stuff, then obviously those same types of mandatory minimums would come to fruition. So make sure that you at least have a chat with some of those teams if you have some questions. I would suggest that you do that. A couple of reminders. I did open up the spring season declarations. So they're available for you to go ahead and declare your teams. For you that are new and you might not have done this before, you can't change your current declarations that are playing in the fall just to add them to spring. But when you add the new team, it will pull over all the information for you into the spring league. The deadline for the spring season declarations is going to be December 1st. And as always, that will probably be extended, but use December 1st as your guideline to get the commitments from your teams as to whether they're going to be playing or not. It's going to be just like last year. It's a maximum of a 12-game season. Will run from most likely January 15th through about April 17th. So it's the same kind of timelines right after everybody kind of gets back from the Christmas and New Year's holidays, and we'll start up hopefully that second week in January and run through mid-April. We're going to do the same kind of thing that we did last year as far as the playoffs. The fall teams will take on the spring teams in late April and early May. We're going to do the higher seeded playing the quarterfinals and semifinals as we did last year. That seemed to work very well. Everybody seemed to like that format because it gave them a little bit more flexibility, especially with other events that are going on. And as long as they get completed by a specific date, that seemed to work. And then we'll host the finals at a to be named park at some point in May, probably the second week or so, just like we did last year. So that's kind of the two things that I wanted to mention with regard to scheduling. Please make sure that you reach out to your teams. I will be sending some additional emails out. I'll also send an email out to the current coaches so that they're aware. I just right now for the declarations had sent it out to the club representatives and the directors of coaching. One thing that I know that Becky wanted me to talk about, and I will try and share my screen and let you see if I can. Bear with me just a minute. Okay. Can everybody kind of see my screen? Just a nod. Quito, how about you? Okay, great. Thank you very much. This is the game roster report upload page that we use. And what I wanted to kind of point out is some people that have been using this for uploading their game reports have been putting the wrong game number in, and it makes the job a little bit more difficult when they're trying to get credit for service. So when you are submitting a game report for the initial red card, obviously you would put your name in, you would select your role, whether you're the home team, the visiting team, or such, and then the type of upload. So if this is for the first time that a card has been issued, then it would be for a red card or suspension, and then you would put in the game number where the red card occurred. If this is for service of a suspension, it's a little bit different, and you do get some additional information here. I shouldn't really have to write it in Spanish, but please read this information because this is where it kind of gets tricky. The game number that you're going to be entering here is the game number where the suspension was being served. So if you had a player that got a suspension in game 1000 and you're playing in game 1500 and 1500 is where the service is, that's the number that goes here. So for example, if I put in a 2828, the system is going to pull up and say, oh, okay, you must be trying to get service credit for, in this case, Juan Becerra, who got his suspension in game 2796. So that's the number that we need over here where it says game number of the original red card. And this is what's kind of gotten confusing, I think, for some. It's made it difficult for us because when we are looking up and trying to give credit, if we don't have the right game numbers there, then we have to do additional searches and such to try and give you guys credit. So just in that case, if you would look through that. And I do have a little document that I can put together and send to you if you have some coaches that have been most of the culprits. And usually it's just somebody that's a lot of the things that we see is that instead of putting the service in the service field, that they use red card for both, and it just makes it difficult. So if you wouldn't mind, trying to remind guys of that, or if they have any questions, send me an email. I'll be happy to deal with that. Any questions on any of that stuff?
Jeff, I would like to mention something about.
Yes, Danny.
Okay, maybe it's time that FUYSA create another rule about parents' behavior, because we have the same thing in our league, in the Miami-Dade League. We have 5 ejections already. A mother got into the field and insulted the referee. I mean, it's getting unbelievable. We have to have some type of rule, something that these people understand that if you do this, you're going to be penalized. Because it seems like the ones we have is not enough.
It's actually, yeah, Joey, I was going to say that we've actually had a lot of really good response back. FYSA has also talked about adopting some of the rules that we've implemented in terms of getting rid of all the parents when one of the parents gets tossed. And I think that that's something, if if leagues could together band and together and offer that same type of suspension, maybe these parents would start to learn that any bad behavior is going to cost all of them their ability to watch their kids. And yeah, I know that Becky was telling me that FYSA has reached out to her and South Florida United, because we've actually been fairly successful given the percentages of incidents that we've had for the numbers of games that we offer. Believe it or not, our incident is fairly low compared to a lot of the other competitions. So that's something that you definitely could take a look at. Joey?
Two things. One, Daniel, you can always override us and increase it. And if a parent enters the field, throw them out. Like, not for the game, not for the week, not for the month. Tell them to have a nice day and you'll see them next year. Now, that's a money issue. Second thing is FYSA is directing it behind the scenes. They're putting together a committee to deal with it statewide as we speak. I don't know where that was, about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I don't know where they're going, but they're going to get a couple reps from each region to sit on a committee to see if they can increase the penalty. So yes, to your question, they're looking at it, but you can always just tell them to have a nice day.
I think one of the problems,
just-
Danny, is that when you have a situation with parent behavior, because it's not really codified other than the code of ethics, there's such a disconnect between when they do something and when there is punishment for it. With code of ethics, you can't implement code of ethics without a hearing. And when you do, then it's 30 days. And the bigger part of the problem is how do you know whether a parent is actually going to be serving a suspension? You really have very little ability to do that other than when we do it and say all the parents are screwed for a game. That's about the only way you can for sure not know that somebody is not going to be there, other than giving them back their pass. As Joey said, hey, look, we don't want you in our club. They'll just go and take their problem to another club.
Just a couple of things. First of all, when we were at the AGM in August, there was some recommendation about contracts between clubs and players, this and that, and I spoke against it, saying it's not FYSA's job to get between a club and the contract they have their parents sign. So you can put in your contract whatever you want about behavior and discipline as a result of that. And the second thing is, your rules are your rules within your club. You can do, we can do what we do as a league, but you can do whatever you want, and you can get rid of any parent you want for any reason you want, as long as it's something that's, justifiable and it's in the rules within your club to do it. So, I mean, we'll back whatever you want to do as to discipline within reason, as long as you understand that you can do whatever you want. And if you put it in your contract, when they sign off on it, I assure you, the people who never think they're going to do anything wrong, because even if they've done something wrong, don't think they've done anything wrong, they're not going to read it and care about it either. So put whatever you want, whatever strong language you want in there. If you want any help, I'll be happy to help you with it. And, they'll deal with the consequences. We got an email from the people of in North Florida about their league and how many incidents they've had. And they were asking us, how are we doing? I said, and we were doing a lot better than they were. I'm not saying that's good, bad, or otherwise, but one incident is more than enough. But it is what it is. And it looks like, there's problems elsewhere, because I don't think they take the same drastic approach, not drastic, there's significant approach we take, as if there's a problem, we'll deal with it and let the parents figure out, okay, they'll weed themselves out that way.
Yeah, Barry, that's okay with my club. I mean, I can do that, but we're talking about a league. I cannot control the behavior of another club if, I can only, like Jeff said, suspend all the parents. But this problems is not just related to my club, it's to many clubs that is happening with the parents' behavior. And that's what I'm saying. It's all the leagues, not just South Florida United.
So are you seeing something going on? First of all, we're obviously dealing with our league. Are you seeing something going on in our league that's not being addressed, number one? Or are you seeing worse things going on with your league or any other league that you think needs to be addressed with a different set of rules than you presently have.
Well,
That's not being critical. I'm just trying to find out, because we're here to help each other no matter what league you're in.
right. The thing is this, in the 40 years I've been doing this is the past 2 years is getting worse and worse and worse. And it's all these parents that believe that they know the game and they tell the referee what to make calls. Or I see at U9 games, parents insulting each other. I mean, this is ridiculous. You know, how can you stop that? Unless you got something that is a rule that will suspend the parents, or like Jeff said, the whole board of parents suspended for whatever games. But it's getting worse.
Well, it always does. The question becomes, what actions you're going to take to punish those people and then see if that works. And that's
Lou,
a league or a
I
club
can see
decision to
Lou
make.
is talking to nobody though. Lou, you got to unmute yourself if you had something to say.
Yeah, I'm trying to unmute him now. There he goes.
I have thoughts about this. The parents are scared to death at Coral Estates to get in trouble, because that's the exact same thing that I tell them all the time. You get thrown out, you're not coming back next week. Okay, and they fear it because they think that they've signed off on it. The problem is not with us so much as it is the state is not backing us up with it. And I found out this past week, after admonishing the executive director for saying on an open meeting that nobody cares about verification. He and I had a little get together on the next day, and he's serious. He said the league's up north, and it's only you people in South Florida that care, insinuating that it was because of all of our immigrant kids, okay? But they don't check verification. He said that they play with unverified passes. Now, we have teams coming in from over there, and I'm making a special effort to look at those teams and check the player passes just to see if it's true. But he's very serious. He says it's a waste of time. We haven't got the time or the manpower to check birth certificates. And so I told him 47 years ago, that's the only reason we came into the state association, was that we needed two things. One was independent verification, and the other one was insurance, and you fucked up both of them.
Pretty much.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
I know, Lou, my wife just realized that you speak French.
Yeah, we're gonna have to put you on Paramount.
Wait.
TV.
That's a
If that
legal term.
works.
I'm familiar with that legal term. It's
I'll
okay.
have to go back and edit that out, Lou. I mean, you're giving me a lot of extra work here.
Oh, man. I'm sorry.
No, but you're true. It's true, Lou. I
Yeah.
mean, I remember going to an under 13 game and one of the kids drove himself there. So, I mean, it's the same kind of a problem that, you know,
That was worse when his kid got out of the car and played also. That was bad.
Exactly.
So
The other
what do you-
verification kind of thing is the dogs. I want to see a verification of a dog that is necessary to be
So
on.
what is there anything you think we can do more than we're doing? Because we're here to help you. So what do you think we can do more, if anything? Or, I mean, it sounds like it's a problem more away from us than with us, but to the extent it's ever with us, we want to fix that. So what do you think?
What I have done within my club or the people that are with me is that I've been asking the coaches when they go to tournament. The whole club is going to tournaments this week, right? I got no games at Coral Estates this week. Go with the referee and look at the player passes of the other team. They're also, you know, and you guys, you
You
took
know how to make friends, don't you, Lou?
what?
You know how to make friends, don't you?
Yes.
So,
I'm not there to make friends. I'm there to make
I know.
that they're verified, that they are actually the same age that they say they are. Isn't that what we are supposed to be doing?
Should be.
Yes.
Yeah, it is, if there's like specific complaints, I've got it from FYSA when I was Region A VP that they would send it to you. You would have to send one of the, I guess, commissioners to go to the club to verify it. But how do you can't expect everybody to be the FYSA pass police. It's not going to happen.
But if you go out and check player passes on the other team and you see there's no verification on the cards, take a picture of it and send it in. I mean, how could they be playing with no verification on the card?
Certainly not in a competitive tournament. They shouldn't.
No, they shouldn't be able to.
And their leagues, in those leagues up there, they don't care about verification. Too much trouble. I can't wait for State Cup and Region Cup to come back. I want to host Region Cup again.
No, you don't.
He's a glutton for punishment. Sure, he does.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Sure, surely anyone
the
that would
other
have
thing
Leon
about-
Delroy
okay.
Green in their club would be.
Since I'm bringing all this stuff up, one of our biggest problems with the discipline with the parents is, and don't let this get out, the quality of refereeing has deteriorated with the numbers.
Yep.
Okay, we do not have enough referees to do all these games. I don't know where these people are coming from,
Correct.
but
All right.
okay, so that's another thing. When I go to another guy's field, I want to see badges and I want to know that those referees are real referees.
Let me just jump in for one question, because this came to us not long ago. It's come to us before too, but we are probably the only league, and certainly in the southern part of the state compared to the northern part of the state or the central part of the state, that in U9, U10 games, we have 3 referees. Now, we've always done that for several reasons. One is to provide the best safe atmosphere for the players, and 2, to train younger people with
Right.
older people, and to increase and enhance the competency of referees. I always say a referee is a person who passes a test by getting 3 out of 4 questions right, sitting in a room, and then expecting to go out there in real time and getting 100% right, because once you're certified, you're supposed to be perfect. And then when you get more experience, you're supposed to be better. So we understand the limitations, but other people are saying, well, because of costs and other things, we've gone to 1 referee at U9, U10.
Right.
Now, all of us in this room, I hope, understand that U9, U10 is not a stepping stone to the next step is the World Cup, but it's a financial commitment we've all made over the years. And I mean, we've always used it as the best way to train younger referees and do what's best for the referee community to make it as best as it can be. Not that we're not perfect by any means. No one's going to be. But my question to you guys is, has there any been ideas within yourselves as to, do you think we should go to 1 referee? And the second part is, who are you going to get to do the games? You're not going to get a 13-year-old kid to do a U9 game when he's the only person out there in the middle.
Oh.
But you get a 13-year-old kid to do a line in a game and learn from someone who's older in the middle. So I'm just wondering, is there any feedback or pushback from any of you as to what do you think of that? I mean, my personal opinion, and it's just my personal opinion, it's a horrible idea. My idea is to put the best referees out there to do the best job and improve the referee qualities. But there's other things out there like finances, and there are other things out there like it's U9, U10, who cares? But we care. So I'm just wondering if you've heard anything about that in your end.
Can I say something? Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Please.
I just want to answer that thing. We are allowed to use a single referee for U9, U10 as a U.S. soccer recommendation. That if the referee assigner does not have 3 referees. We don't mandate to use one referee only. We say it is okay under U.S. Soccer Federation guidelines to use 1 referee. But the problem that we have right now is that, for example, if the referee assigner has only 2 games in my field and the same referee assigner has 4 games on the opposite field in another field, their field gets better referees because in my field, they're only going to have 2 games, so they don't make enough money. So we get all the last men to our field, which is not going to be the best referees, and the field who has 4 games is going to have the better referee because they're going to be making more money.
Sure.
And that's the problem we have last week, and the past 2 weeks is the same issue. That's it.
And to be quite fair, if you are going to down to 1 referee, then that's going to make that even harder in that circumstance, because now you're going to have 3 referees for 1 game and then only 1 for another, or vice versa when it comes. So you might have
Yeah,
other
well,
issues.
you give them the under 10 game with 1 guy to give them rest between the 7 games that they're going to do that day.
Yeah, if it happens that way.
Well,
and none of them want to be the guys that it's on rest that day.
Can I say
Coming from an
something?
assigner. Yeah,
ones that
Christine,
I
go
get
ahead.
are so old, they want the rest.
Go ahead, Christine.
Sorry, hi.
No, go ahead.
I broached this subject with our ref assigner because we have EDP and SFU. So obviously, you know, there's some games I assign and there's 1 ref for EDP because that's how they do their U9, U10. And then, so I might have a 9 o'clock EDP, a 10:30 SFU, and then another 12 o'clock EDP. So it becomes very difficult with, you know, with field assigning and stuff. And then you have to put into the equation, okay, these are EDP, this is SFU, this needs 3 refs, this needs 1 ref. And then there's weekends where we have a shortage of refs. So, you know, there would be a case where it would be great if we could only have 1 ref for SFU, but I understand the need to train referees and have 3 referees for a game. I 100% get that. But there's times where I have to say it's convenient if there was only 1 ref for those games.
Sure.
That's
So
just my
something
2
like-
that's my 2 cents. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So something
No,
like what
sorry.
Danny does with his league, and that it's still 3 is recommended, but in the chance that you can't at that point, then 1 might be
And you
sufficient.
can't use a teenager by himself in the middle of an under 9 or 10.
No, they're the worst. I mean, 9s, 10s,
Hard.
11s, and 12s are the hardest games to do because the
Yes.
parents are
Oh,
out of
parents
control.
suck.
Yeah.
That's a legal term. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on referees, although all 3 of my kids have refed, and yes, they will confirm that the U9 parents are the worst.
Because they don't know anything. No, seriously. I
It
mean,
is.
they're uneducated.
No.
They don't know what they're doing, what they're talking about.
Yeah,
And
I get it.
the
But that's
coaches-
just my input on the, you know, on the referee situation. When there's clearly at the moment a shortage of referees, and you know, as bad as it might be to only have 1 ref for a U9 and U10 game, it's becoming apparent that it's, you know, it's the way to go at the moment because we can't always get 3 refs for those games.
Well, we do
Would it
allow
be-
club linesmen. So in those circumstances
know.
when you
That's-
can't,
we-
you
yeah,
definitely
that's what-
can,
That's what
get
we
away
end
with
up
that.
doing. Yes, that's what we end up doing for the SFU games.
Yeah, and in fact, that kind of does the exact same thing. And you got your club linesmen, they're not calling offside anyway. So you've got in and out of bounds, and you're covered in that regard. So I don't know.
The parents on the sideline or the parent referee on the sideline, he calms down the parents on the sideline.
Very true.
Yeah, we should go back to banning them from the fields.
Well, I'm saying that if you can get a parent to run the lines, it's better than letting the guy do it by himself. Because the
Yes.
parents don't like to mess with other parents.
True.
Because they're always afraid that that parent that they're yelling at as a referee is going to come over and smack them.
What else can we help you guys with? The next meeting is going to be January, our January meeting.
I would like us to start, thinking about submitting some of these rules to the state to see if they'll put them out on the floor at the AGM and let people know that there are places in the world that are interested in controlling parents. I mean,
So
I'm ready
what
to
would
go
you,
back to
Lou,
COVID.
what would you, not formally, what would you suggest?
The rule about the parents all the parents sitting out if one causes a problem, I think that ought to be statewide and it ought to be enforced. That to me is the greatest rule you guys ever came up with.
Okay, I don't disagree, obviously, because that's what we've been doing for years. So without prejudging the room, or what do you think would happen other than a great debate, which will take much longer than we want, which is why we'll have the elections first. Thank you, Lou. Why?
You like that, right?
Oh, that was the best thing I've ever, you know something, Lou? When you get older, you get smarter. So my question to you is, what do you think the response would be? And we sit down here because we're used to it, and we can all stand up and say, this is how it's worked with us. It's been better. And we can get people from the north who'll say, you know, if we had that, maybe it would change things. But because it's our idea, everyone will say, oh, you know, you down in South Florida, you guys don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
But,
there is
but
that.
I think I will tell you this, though. The one good thing about that thought, about presenting it to the membership there, is the people there would like it.
Yes.
And it's easier for them to go back and sell it to the people who don't like it, like their parents, because they want us to, I mean, not us, period, but they want us to do the dirty work for them to say, hey, look, here's the new rule. Don't yell at us. This was voted on there, you know. And I think we'd probably get a lot more positive response, because I think that's what everybody else would want to see happen, but don't have the guts to impose it themselves. They'd rather have the state do it and impose it upon them, so they don't look like the bad guys when their league does it, when all of a sudden their parents are gone. So I actually think it'll probably resonate better in the membership at that meeting, because we're in August. No one's kicked anybody out for the last 2 months, and everything's been fine. We see everybody in August. Oh, this is great. Everything's fine. Soccer's great. Yeah, because you haven't dealt with this shit for the last, pardon me, it's not a legal term. You haven't dealt with this shit for the last 2 months. But I think we could probably sell that to the people there. And those who don't vote for it, I assure you the next year they will, because they'll deal with this crap if it doesn't pass. So I think it's a great idea. I think it's something we will put together. I mean, I have no problem as a league putting something out there saying, this is what, not this is what we do. This is what we think is best for everybody to do. And we'll take the heat for suggesting it. And you can say, hey, you know, it passed at the AGM, so we're stuck with it. And let's be the bad guys, but everyone else is saying, you know something, we want this, because they will remember that they've had the problems they've had, and we can solve it for them. So Lou, I think it's a great idea. I think let's do it.
You know, one of the things, Barry, maybe instead of a rule, it would be a time to modify the code of ethics. It's been written over 30 years ago. Maybe can we add something to the code of ethics and we don't have to go through all the rules?
No, the code of ethics.
I don't think we'll be
Needs to
lucky
be in the
enough
rule.
to get through that part of it. I mean, Danny, I think it's a great idea, but I don't think it's gonna. I think if we all agree to the method we all agree to the conclusion we're trying to get to, I don't think that method gets us there, because I don't think I have no idea how you change the code of ethics. I thought I came down with the other, you know, stuff from Mount Sinai. I just
It wasn't
like,
Moses,
you
it
know,
was
the
Daniel.
tablet. So I don't know if there's any changes. I've never seen any changes.
No, has never been changed since I wrote it 30 years ago. It's been the same.
I mean, Danny, it's possible that you could, you know, modify the parents' code of ethics to incorporate, instead of it being a mandatory hearing and mandatory at a minimum 30 days to 1 year, that, you know, if they're, you could add something that if they're being dismissed but from the field by a referee, that, you know, all the parents, but I don't know if that's the most appropriate place to put it, but wherever it should go, that's definitely the concept we can present to them, and then we can kind of figure out, you know, where it's best to fit in. I mean, the concept is all we really want to sell.
Yeah. Agreed.
Barry, you still frozen? Looks like it.
Yeah, I agree. Let me ask this question. Where do you think the pushback would come from if we try to either code of ethics or bylaw or rule? Where do you think any pushback comes from?
The board of directors,
What are they going to say?
they're going to say something stupid like they always do.
Well, it's consistent, but I'm saying, what are they going to say? It's not appropriate here, it's not appropriate there, but they don't like they don't like the idea.
It would be more they don't like the idea or they don't think it's needed.
Sorry?
They might say that they don't think it's needed or they don't like the idea or from a conceptual standpoint or maybe
Well,
from an
nobody-
implementation standpoint, they can't figure out a
doubt
way to
anyone
make
would
it
say
work.
it's not needed.
No, they
can
can't say it's not needed. The people will be cheering in their seats when they hear it.
Yeah.
That will not
We
go
can, by
over
the
well
way,
at the
it's
AGM.
November now. Between now and August, we can do enough lobbying and background stuff to see what the temperature of the room is way before then, to say, look,
Sure.
we're going to make you guys look good because we're going to do what you need us to do. So you'll be happy with the result, even if you don't want to say, well, we don't like it. We can nod and say that, but we know you want this because it only makes their jobs easier.
Yeah.
I mean, we have the
So-
statistics to prove that it works.
Yeah. I mean, I think what we'll do is we'll talk to some of the people on the executive board at the top, and then also we'll talk to a couple other people who Jeff and I have been in touch with recently, and I think Joe too is from other leagues in the northern part of the state to send us an email. We've had a lot more discipline problems this year with parents. How are you guys doing? And I said, Jeff said it's not significantly, it's not higher,
No.
because they know when they come here, they can act like idiots, but it's costing everybody they're around. It's one thing to say I'm kicked out for a game, they don't care. The other thing is that when they're causing the problems for everybody else around them, it doesn't really play that well. So we'll take the temperature in the room with some of the people up there to say, this is how we think things will work better for everybody. What do you think is the best way to do it? And I think we'll probably get some favorable responses.
Yes, I think so.
Okay, we'll run that. We'll work on that part of it. Anything else we can solve the world with tonight? Global warming, anyone? Okay, fine.
Just a small thing. I mean, unfortunately, I don't see that there's many of those clubs here in the meeting. But just a little consideration from some of the clubs that they are canceling games. You already talked about the shortage of refs, which makes us, it's very hard to schedule our games already. And when they cancel a game on Wednesday or Thursday because they have a tournament that it's impossible, they didn't know ahead of time, it's really makes our job a lot harder. So
No, it doesn't. You just tell them no.
Just say no.
You just tell them no.
And
The game's in
everybody
the
will love you
schedule.
just like me.
Tell them no.
okay, works for me.
And then if they want to go to their tournament, it'll cost them $200 plus your referee fees. And you'll get $100 of that.
Works for me then. Thank
Get the
you.
win.
Absolutely.
The biggest problem is there's far too many tournaments going on.
Just to say
really?
no.
Who's making money doing that?
No, you're
Not
right.
me.
But that's the problem. You just have to say no. I mean, our games have been scheduled. If they want to go to a tournament, that's great. But
Yes.
you don't have to change as a result of what they want.
I know that we don't, but we always try to accommodate and because
No.
it goes both ways too.
No.
But
We're well past accommodating. They've been doing this for 5 or 10 years now.
Yep.
okay.
They decide on Monday or Tuesday at practice, they're going to go to a tournament.
That's my point. I mean, I understand things happen and you might, but when they start telling you I don't have enough players or whatever, but it's a tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd not find out on Monday or Tuesday you have a tournament.
Exactly.
Get ready for the next one. I have a kid with COVID-19, so I have to move the game.
Yep. Just say
I
no.
think-
And where are
the
they
oth-
playing instead? Danny, where else are they playing that weekend?
Yeah, exactly.
And the COVID-19.
Oh, wait and see you in a
Invitational?
tournament, Danny.
I think the other thing with tournaments
Yeah.
is that
Disney's going to have a COVID-19 invitational. You'll see.
I can tell you in the month of November.
Well, no one can get sick because they
tournament.
all got it already.
So we need to take action against one of those people who says stuff like that.
Oh, yes.
Lying to the administration.
Kick him out with the $500 fine.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing with tournaments is they become desperate because they're missing, you know, a particular team in a division. So they offer it out for free, and then
That's
someone
most
take-
likely what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
someone-
Oh,
That's when the
takes
whole
it up.
club goes.
Yep, exactly.
and it's very frustrating for us because all of a sudden we've got 3 gaps in our referee scheduling.
Absolutely.
I
Well, if
hear
you
you.
just say no, you still get those referees paid and they're happy to show up.
Yeah.
Anything else we can do to help you guys out? Women, ladies. and
Yeah, you can go
women-
back to
women-
reffing.
women and men,
Barry.
sorry.
Nobody
I'm
wants that.
actually
Lou.
reffing Friday. And I assure you that there will not be a huge ovation when I take the field.
When you leave the field, there will
I
be.
got a high school game.
Oh my God.
I'll just tell you very, no, my kids went to university school, and so the rule is you can't, it's a private school up here in Broward, and you can't ref for 5 years. I go back and I get assigned to the game, and the headmaster, who was there when my kids went to school, is there. And he said, "Hey, Barry, how you doing?" I said, "I'm doing well." I said, Jerry, I got a problem. He said, "What's that?" I said, "At about $80 a game, I don't think I make up the $250,000 I spend in my kids' school here." He said, "Well, you can try, Barry. Ref for a lot of games." I said, "I don't think that's going to work for me." That's an exaggeration. That's how much I paid, I hope. But yeah, but no, we'll see what happens.
All right, everyone.
Everybody good? We'll see each other after the holidays. Everyone be safe above all. And I will be in touch. We'll send something out to everybody after I do talk to the people with FYSA about the thoughts we had about that situation with the parents. I really think that is something that needs to be addressed, and we can try to do something about it.
Great.
All right, take care, everyone. Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.